This week, two words came into the English language that we hadn't heard before. Super League. What was a Super League? Well, it lasted 2 days, and everyone knows exactly what it was. The whole world knows what it was. It was the attempt to create a Super League of I wouldn't say the best teams, but certainly the richest teams in Europe to compete against each other. And within 48 hours, it was dead. Now, the question is, people were surprised, shocked, appalled. I wasn't. I mean, I was appalled by it. I think it's an awful idea. But the fact is, I wasn't surprised at all. And in some ways, I expected it. Why? Look how football has changed. Growing up as a kid, I remember football very much being about local players who people knew. They went to the pub. I mean, obviously I was a kid, I didn't go to the pub with them, but like I knew from other people that they'd met them on the street or they'd seen them. It was very much a family business. And then it changed. Then money came into it, and salaries came into it, and agents came into it, and the whole game changed into literally a business. It no longer was about the fans and football, and it hasn't been for 20, 30 years. The Premier League, the Champions League, all these things are inventions of business brains to make more money out of the sport of football. That's it. And the fact we now have footballers making £300,000 a week, it's obscene, but it's a business, and you've got to pay them that much to make sure they play for your team, to get the money for your team, and so on and so forth. So therefore, the Super League world was the next stage of making money. As some of the Super League founders said, they don't care about the game of football. Who cares? It's about making money. And what it is, therefore, is a Super League, or what's happened to football is you reap what you sow. What do you think you were doing to football 30 years ago when you began to go along this road? It's what's happened. It's natural. And maybe, just maybe, because of this latest obscenity, what most people thought, it might try and return to its roots. But I doubt it, because there's too much money in the game. It's not going to happen. But the idea of you reap what you sow, of what happens over a period of years leads to something. Don't be surprised when that happens. Don't be shocked when it happens. What do you expect? In my reminder myself, one of my first years at Stanmore, I got a phone call soon after Rosh Hashanah from a couple who wanted to come see me. They weren't regulars at all in the shul. I didn't know them. But they came on Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur, whenever it was, and they heard me speak, and they liked what I said. And they said to me, could you please speak to our 25-year-old son? I said, okay, what do you want me to speak to him about? They said, well, he's going out with a non-Jewish girl and we're really, really unhappy. I said, okay, well, what do you want me to do about it? They said, well, can you talk to him? Because you seem to be like, well, you spoke at Rosh Hashanah, how you're very passionate about Jews marrying Jews and Jewish education. I think it'd be good for you to speak to him. You're a young rabbi. I was then. Please speak to him. I then asked him the following question. I said, can I ask you, what's his Jewish life been like up to age 25? Like, what was his home life like growing up? They said to me, well, you know, we didn't go to shul, and we didn't have a kosher home. We didn't celebrate Shabbat and the festivals, really. I mean, Pesach a bit, and we came to Rosh Hashanah, but that's about it. And when I met the boy, we had a lovely chat, a lovely guy. But he said to me, he says, my parents are hypocrites. What do they expect? They raised me with no Jewish identity, but expect me to marry Jewish. You reap what you sow. In a very tragic way in that case. And then we look at the parashot of Acharei Mot-Kedoshim. Very different parashot for this year they're joined. Kedoshim is a parasha full of mitzvot, full of a lot of the beautiful mitzvot we do, Ben Adam LaChavero. And Acharei Mot deals with the service of the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur. And of course, Yom Kippur as a day is the centerpiece of tshuva. But the whole concept of tshuva is not a Yom Kippur only situation. It's the whole year. And Jewish growth or changing or becoming a better person, once again, it's not an overnight thing. In so many cases, we have situations of people who become frum overnight. And it's very difficult because Judaism is not something that happens quickly. It's something you have to build slowly, day by day, week by week. I remember when I was in yeshiva in America, I was starting my simicha there. And I got asked by one of the people in the yeshiva, was I always frum? And I said, no, I grew up traditional. He said, when did you become frum? So I looked at him and I said, somewhere between the ages of 10 and 18. Somewhere there. Why? Because I was blessed, and thank God, my Jewish journey through my family, through my gradual sort of absorption of so much experiences from the shul, from Bnei Akiva, from my family, from my friends. Gradually, sometime in those 8 years, I became a Shomer Shabbat, Shomer Kashrut, and went to yeshiva. I couldn't tell you when. I couldn't tell you the exact day or the exact inspiration that made me. It wasn't. It was a build-up, drip by drip by drip, of positive Jewish experiences, which I still believe is the ideal way for people to grow. Sometimes it's impossible to do that when you have to resort to maybe more extreme measures. But lechatchila, it should be from a young age, bit by bit, slowly, growing as a Jew, understanding more as a Jew. And then definitely in a positive way, you reap what you sow. To me, there's no more nachat for a parent than to see your children after months or years being able to do something that they couldn't do because gradually, you've built them up to it through years of education or experiences and so on and so forth. And therefore, maybe the lesson of the Super League or the lesson of what's happened to football is a realization that it doesn't happen overnight. Bad things and good things take a while to happen. And the understanding of Torah, the understanding of Judaism, it's not something that we have to try and achieve in a day. It's a lifelong journey, a lifelong struggle, I would say, in a positive way, with Torah, with observance, with Emunat Hashem, and all the areas that make up a Jewish life. And Lefum Tzara Agra, according to the effort we put in, comes the reward. The more we put in, the more hours we put in, the more time we put in to develop ourselves, our children, our students, whatever it is, then you see the benefits of that long journey. So the Super League is over. Thankfully, the Jewish League is carrying on, please God, for many years to come. Shabbat Shalom.